Neve, she is 4 now, but when she was a few months old, I noticed that things wasn't really right with her hip. It was like an extra crease that she had in her hip. I knew my other daughter hadn't got one, so this is when I began to worry. So I took her to the local GP and he referred her for an x-ray. And it was about 6 months. They come back then and they said that she had a dislocated hip. It was very heartbreaking to think, we just didn't want nothing to be wrong with her, although it was only small, but at the same time it was big to us. After about 9 months then, she got her first operation and she was in cast for 3 months. And this was changed 3 times within that time. And then at 18 months, we were told then that it hadn't worked out the way it should have, so they needed to do an operation. We kind of waited and waited then on the operation, then it kept being cancelled. It was bad enough when it was cancelled once, but then it was cancelled 5 times altogether in that year, so that was pretty heartbreaking.
And time was very important because we only had that short window where she needed to get it done, and there was lots of preparations and also preparing yourself mentally, I suppose, as well for Neve going for this operation, when you work yourself up worrying about it and then for it to be cancelled, it was really, really disappointing.
Unfortunately, we're very understaffed in this country with orthopedic surgeons in general. Up till a couple of years ago, in Ireland, we had the 2nd worst ratio of orthopedic surgeon to patients in the Western world until 2 years ago when Romania improved their situation, so we are now the worst.
We have a large volume of children with orthopedic problems, and sometimes these problems are rapidly advancing. If you like, sometimes growth is really not your friend, so a delay in time can lead to a deterioration in their condition, both in their limbs, sometimes their spine, sometimes even their chest, and their cardiovascular situation can change because of the progression of their deformity or condition.
This is Hassan and this is Hussein, and they were born conjoined on the 2nd of December 2009, and they weren't expected to live, and the birth was in London. So at 4 months old they were separated then in Great Ormond Street in London, and I suppose despite them sharing almost everything except the heart, they both had scoliosis as well. Hassan's scoliosis was congenital, which was much worse than Hussein's, so therefore he needs the more help with managing his scoliosis than Hussein.
Big kiss and hug, and I get more toys.
Really bigger one, bigger.
The boys' spines were being kept an eye on, and we just realised that Hassan's was getting much worse. His curve, you could see it through his clothes. The longer he was on a wait list, to have some surgery done, the curve was getting much worse. And I suppose as parents, to have 2 little boys that have already come through so much, and then you're kind of going back to the start again, that there's something else new happening and something that could be potentially dangerous, if it's not, fixed. It's a frightening thing.
It's devastating for them because they see their child getting worse. They appreciate that there is waiting times, and they know that there's going to be people ahead of them that are maybe worse off, but it's still very difficult to reconcile that with maybe 12 months waiting or 18 months, and for them it's not adequate. It's not a good enough service, and why should they have to wait?
When Martin was 12, we discovered that his kneecap was coming off. And then when we went to the doctor, so we referred us then to little Kenny. He put on a full cast, a harness.
Keeping the legs straight.
To keep the legs straight for
4 or 5
whatever
weeks.
time, yeah. But it was no good. Even with the harness on, when he bent, the thing, after that, it still kept coming off. So it was just that the sinews or whatever was on one side was too weak and the other was too strong, because his left side that he had a stroke on was weak anyway, and because this was his main good leg, there were too much pressure on that. That's probably what happened with that leg. We didn't know he was in pain, and he can't tell us that he was in pain. Before his operation, I asked the teacher to ask him, did he have pain in the knee, to see if he would tell her, instead of us maybe. And she asked him, "Oh, you sore knee, Martin, or is it painful?" He reacted big time. He really reacted big time that they had to put him into a room on his own, because he lashed out because they asked him had he pain in the knee. And I felt that they punished him for something, for his pain, but they didn't know. It ended up that we were left too long, that his thigh bone twisted, because to save his knee, that by the time we got to the Crumlin, they said that it was left too long, so that's why they had to do the 2 operations, We had a long wait.
Dylan had a very prominent chest when he was about 2. It just wasn't right. So I took him to the doctor, and they knew straight off that it was scoliosis. So they put the casting on Dylan, and every 3 months then we used to get it changed. And he had it for about 3 years. Then they moved him onto the brace. And the brace was very similar to the casting, but you could take it on and off. And he was allowed to take it off 1 hour every day. And so he had that for about 2 years. But it just didn't seem to stop the curve from getting any worse. And Dr. Kiley thought maybe it was time for Dylan to have an operation. We could have been waiting 9 to 12 months. There was no guarantee that, we would have been able to wait that long. Maybe there were other organs or something going to, be damaged because he couldn't get the operation.
A lot of these conditions in growing children deteriorate and are time dependent. And that's why the parents know this, because we tell them that we need to do this as soon as possible. The kids, if they're old enough, know this, understand this. Everyone is upset, annoyed, fraught, angry, very angry, and that's a constant cycle.
We felt that if we had a mechanism where we could look after 5 or 10 children who were in urgent, time-critical need, that would be something very useful to do. And so all of my colleagues, the 4 orthopedic consultants in Crumlin, and the anaesthetic staff in Crumlin, and senior nursing staff, we all collaborated together to try and make that happen. It's been very inspiring to see how many people have put their shoulder to the wheel to make it happen, and that's everyone across the board: the porters, the radiographers, the theatre staff, the healthcare assistants, everybody. I shouldn't forget the people in CSSD who sterilise the equipment, all of that, coming in on their weekends, coming in on their free days to help make these cases happen.
When we eventually got on the straight ahead list, we were very, very, grateful, obviously, and delighted, because Hassan had been on waitlist for over a year, and we felt that, thank God, his time has come, and that at least the curve wouldn't get any worse. If Hassan had still been on the waitlist now, which he possibly would have been, for a normal hospital, I know 100% that his spine would have deteriorated.
We were out painting the house when we got the call to say, could we come up the next morning? We said, no problem, absolutely no problem.
All stop signs were put out.
We just put the paintbrush down and got ready and said, yes, we'll be there.
The house hasn't been finished since.
It's amazing how an operation can change your whole life, really. You can see the difference in him, and school can see a wild change in him. They can see he's eating good, he's taking part in woodwork, he's taking part in cooking, he's talking more, he's putting up his hand now when he says he's finished his work. And before that, he never, he just sat there quietly and not. It's a new beginning. It's a definitely new beginning for Martin. Definitely, we can see a big change. Oh, in every way. He likes, me and him likes to go out and dance. And before that, he wouldn't.
Yeah, at times he'll reach for her to come to dance.
Me and him will dance to the floor.
Yeah.
You know, and he's quite.
And he'll sing along. What he's at now, it's like winning the lotto.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We have won the lotto.
Aye.
It was about 3 weeks before Good Friday that they rang us and told us that she was chosen for this charity. We couldn't believe it, really. I said to them, you know, well, could it be cancelled again? And they says, no, once your name's down for being chosen for this charity, there's no way it can be cancelled.
We were lucky to be chosen because she's running around playing football with the rest of the boys there now, and you know, and she's getting ready to start school in September, and it's great. It's such a relief now for us to be able to sit back now and watch her going to school and be able to continue on with the rest of her life, you know. So it's all good.
To get the phone call and to say, that he's booked in, we were very lucky.
When I used to be out, I used to be real small, and then after the operation I got real taller and everyone was noticing and they were saying, oh, Dylan, you got so tall, and I'm like, I know, it was because I got an operation. I just feel normal now.
Straight Ahead will evolve. I think it will persist. I think that it serves a great need, which is somewhat embarrassing in a modern country like this, that we need to do this. But the need is there and will persist.
Scoliosis surgery, it's like all children's surgery. I think it becomes obvious that you're not just dealing with a patient, you're dealing with the whole family. You rapidly become involved. Everybody down in theatre, everybody in the ICU becomes part of the team, if you want, because they all involved with the patient and the patient's family.
The fundraising we've left completely to a very varied group of people, and it's been hugely successful. Huge elements have been, I suppose, a massive cycle from Galway to Dublin with the Laurels group from Clondalkin, who are an amazing bunch of people. There have also been lots of small events, fun runs, or done raffles, or done bingo nights, or cake sales, you name it, and it varies from children and families who've been patients with our department to friends and relations and even people out of the blue just sponsoring. So the money goes completely to treatment provision. Thus far, that's pretty well everywhere it's gone. There are no administrative staff in our organisation. Everyone's doing it in their free time. Our job is a privilege, absolutely a privilege to be able to help in the way we do. And a lot of people have said how much they enjoy the fact that they can actually they get the feedback and they're part of a personal story in ways for helping certain individuals, and that really, I think, is the biggest driving force behind this. And it also links with the public, the families, and our sponsors out there, because they understand much better if they understand the individual and what it's done for them.